Guys, they have for you crazy hybrid build for PvP and PvE. This build will give you hazard protection against any status effect in the game. You will be immune to all that BS. On top of that, we have 3 skill tiers to avoid all the shenanigans that's going on in Conflict and DZ, and on top of that, you will be really effective with your skills on legendary runs, strongholds, incursions, you name it. And DPS wise, we are using capacitor with a lot of weapon damage core attributes and 140% crit damage. If that sounds interesting to you, then welcome to Insanity. Uncle Butcher in the building, and if you want to be updated to all the best PvP, PvE builds in looter shooters, hit that like, brother, smash that sub, and welcome to the family. Long story short, in this one I'm using as my main weapon capacitor. Capacitor actually is kinda bugged in this game as well. It has weird interaction with Umbra set, crazy rate of fire and shit like that can be achieved on this bad boy, and that will give us a lot of damage. But in this build we are not bugging out capacitor. We need capacitor just to increase our DPS output, because we have 3 skill tiers. Each skill tier will give us 7.5% weapon damage. Guys, this is simply template. You can modify it to your likings. What I mean by that, I have a decent amount of armor, but you can turn that armor for weapon damage core attributes, or reroll my weapon damage core attribute for additional armor, and you can make full face tank build. I'm somewhere in the middle here. But before we continue, quick from the sponsor Diving.net. If you don't have enough time or good teammates but you still want to have all the best items in your game, then Diving.net is set for you. They have absolutely amazing team on consoles. They will complete your order super quick. If you will use my promo code RBD for RBD, you will receive 15% discount on absolutely all service. Amazing deal, especially when right now they have some crazy sales going on, so definitely check these guys out. But now let's get back to this setup. And like I said, couple notes here why this build is so dope. First of all, we have a lot of crit damage. If you will use SMG like Ouroboros, you will be absolutely unstoppable. Second weapon for me here is Dark Winter, named SMG, because Perfect Killer Talent received a buff, and now it's kinda crazy. But not always. Sometimes it feels like it's still not giving me that kick in the balls which I'm looking for, so it's weird talent. Sometimes it deals a lot of damage and sometimes it's like bleh. Anyway, for specialization you have 2 options here. I'm using technician specialization because it will give me additional skill tier, but you could use for PvP purposes also firewall specialization, because medkit is extremely strong in this specialization in PvP, and also flamethrower in conflict is still broken. What you want to do in that case, if you will use firewall specialization, simply reroll 1 core attribute for additional skill tier. So you have to reach 3 skill tiers to take out enemy skills with your jammer pulls. For main weapon here I'm using capacitor. It will deal a lot of damage. The main talent here will provide us with additional 7.5% weapon damage with each skill tier. You will have 3 skill tiers, so pretty much it's like 1.5 weapon damage core attribute to your setup. So we are adding quite a bit of DPS with this weapon. Second weapon is Dark Winter. This bad boy received a buff, talent is badass, and you're gonna deal a lot of damage, and crit chance is not a problem with SMG class because you're getting 20% on this bad boy. I would recommend you to apply 10% crit damage mods on this one, so you would reach even more than 140% crit damage. You can use this build even with all the annoying modifiers, because like I said, although this is hybrid build, DPS is not a problem because we have a lot of crit damage. Then we have hazard protection pretty much everywhere. We are immune against any status effect in the game. On top of that, we have, like I said, good skill power to take out all the skill builds as well. So DPS, hazard protection and utility all in one. I'm using Jarl's mask in this one because this mask received a buff and now we have 14% health damage increase and of course 10% weapon damage buff as 2-piece branded bonus, and we are unlocking this buff with Ninja Bike Backpack, with help of Ninja Bike Backpack. Previously, this Jarl's gear would give us only 5% weapon damage as 2-piece branded bonus, but now 10%, and that's a lot, guys. It's really good buff, especially with Ninja Bike. But if you don't have this mask, you can use normal Jarl's mask and simply instead of health damage use crit chance or crit damage. It depends which attribute you are lacking. So for chest piece, I'm using Arquebus chest piece with Obliterate talent. Armor regen is not needed. This is one more piece which can be optimized. I would rather have crit chance here instead of armor regen. Simple as that. For the main talent, guys, for PvE, I would recommend you to stick with Obliterate talent. For PvP though, especially in Dark Zone, I would recommend you to stick with Unbreakable talent. It would work way better, especially if you consider that Capacitor is not high rate of fire assault rifle. Unbreakable would be the best option in Dark Zone. In Conflict, you can test both options and see which one will fit your playstyle more. So you have two options: Unbreakable for survivability, for more DPS go with Obliterate, but I would recommend you, like I said, Obliterate definitely for PvE and Unbreakable for PvP. Then I'm using Holster. Picarus named Holster. Unfortunately, this bad boy is not optimized. I haven't farmed yet for God rolled one, but the main thing here is that we are getting weapon damage, raw weapon damage, crit damage, and since we are using Ninja Bike Backpack, we have 2 Arquebus pieces, 3-piece branded bonus is kinda crazy. We have that missing skill tier here, skill haste and magazine size increase. That's extremely dope. It will increase our DPS output, and sometimes when other players will reload their guns, we can nail those balls down and shoot everyone pretty much instantly dead. With this time to kill, magazine size increase is crazy. Then I'm using Cheshka, Cavalier piece, and of course Ninja Bike Backpack. So if this build sounds crazy to you, definitely hit that like, and I think this is kind of stupid, dope, fresh build. Bye.